Well, hi there and welcome along to another edition of What's the Word. I'm Tom Malone, joined by Deputy Editor of Racing Post, Dave Jennings. How are you?
Thanks for that title.
Yeah, well, I'd like to be formal. Nicola McGeady of Ladbrokes, and of course Johnny Ward as well of multiple publications down the end as per usual. How are you?
Not too bad, no.
Good. No too darn hot in the Greenham Stakes. Mad Moon turned over last weekend. 2,000 guineas picture, muddier probably than it was. Nicola, how did it bet for it now before we sort of see where money's going to go?
Well, as you know, Frankie Dettori is an ambassador of ours, and I spoke to him this morning. He's not worried at all, even though obviously the betting suggests there's now going to be question marks. You know, many horses have gone straight to the Guineas. It hasn't been a problem without a prep run, and as I said, he didn't seem in any way concerned on the phone. Too Darn Hot is 6-4. It was eased slightly when that news came out. 10 Sovereigns 4-1. Magna Grecia 6-1. Then I think Jash actually is quite a big price at 12-1, and I think there's probably too much of a difference in price between himself and 10 Sovereigns, because I think Jash will really like the trip here, so maybe that's the value.
Okay, Johnny, is there anything standing out for you? Maybe a potential bet?
I like 10 Sovereigns, but 4s is fairly tight. I mean, he was 10-1 not that long ago. I remember looking at the classic markets, and Aidan had no horse for any classic that was single figures.
Yeah.
He does now, obviously. I spoke to Donica maybe a month ago about this horse, and he's not convinced he'll get a mile, but I don't really see it as an issue myself. I think, and he's a horse that should grow into a 3-year-old, should have grown into a 3-year-old as well. I really like him. I love the way he finishes his races. He just goes into complete overdrive. He's very, very distinct in that regard. I think he'll stay a mile, personally. If he stays, I think he's a huge chance, but 4s is no value.
Yeah. Mad Moon's obviously one that I think we all had on our radar until last weekend.
I don't know why people were so excited about Mad Moon, but like he won a reasonable race.
It was reasonable.
I think the form has worked out, but there was nothing overly exciting about him. Like, Kevin always talks his horses up.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been a great story, but like, I don't know where people.
I think it's just behind Too Darn Hot. So little else has come through. Maybe we're clutching at straws a little bit. That was a disappointing run last week, though, wasn't it?
It was, like, because you'd imagine, like, in fairness, Aidan's horse is a bit of race fitness, but Kevin wouldn't have had him that short. I just think he's a good horse, but I don't know where people thought he was a classic.
Yeah, fair enough. Jenna, what about you?
I still think if he's okay, I think Too Darn Hot will win the Guineas. I think Magna Grecia of Aidan's would be the one I'd be most interested in. I know Tom Siegel, price-wise, put him up in his anti-post column. I think with Magna Grecia, I just think he's the one guaranteed to run his race and finish in the first 3. 6-1 is probably a little bit tight.
Do you think they'll both run?
I do, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the 1,000 guineas then. Slightly more open picture here, Nicola. How do you bet?
It is. There's no real standout superstars. Just Wonderful, Skitter Scatter, joint 8-1 favourites. Dancing Vega 10-1. Fairylands 12-1. I think obviously over the weekend we might get a few more clues. But DJ, the fact that you were at Ballydoyle recently, you should have more inside info than I do.
I was at Ballydoyle on Monday.
Were you?
What a day! Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it thoroughly. Aidan was so relaxed, and like it was like he was my old pal.
Oh yeah.
We were chatting away, yeah. I could see us going for a few pints together, or a Lucasade on a pint.
Lucasade on a pint, yeah. Wait until you write something bad about one of his horses.
I know, yeah. I think with this market, I think the race on Saturday could be interesting. What's registered as the Fred Darling, because we actually went into his office and he was showing us how to do entries, and the new administration guy was sending the entries through to Aidan, and he was saying, look, the entries closed for Newbury at the weekend, and there was a big circle around, so perfect, I think with an hour around it. And we asked him, like, what was that about? And he goes, Ryan rode her in work last week, and he said that we have to go for this race with her, so he thought she was forward enough to run in this race. She obviously worked well, and he thought this was the right race to run her in, which suggests she will be pretty forward, I'd imagine. And the key thing with Aidan's are, now I know, Johnny, you put up a stat on Twitter the other day that he hadn't had a horse placed.
He started flying it after that.
Yeah. Once Johnny put up the tweet, it all changed. Not for the first time, Johnny.
Yeah.
And I think with So Perfect, and a lot of Aidan's 3-year-olds in these next couple of weeks, last year they weren't on grass at all in Ballydoyle. It went from heavy to hard. They weren't on grass at all. This year they've been on grass since the end of January. So I think with So Perfect, I think she's got by far the best form in the race. Beating Skitter Scatter at the Curragh last year, that's cracking form. Skitter Scatter is joint favourite for the Guineas, and I think she will be overpriced because people are thinking, they're Aidan's, it'll take a while to get going. Maybe this year they won't take as long, and I think at around 7-2 on Saturday. I would advise people to back her for the Guineas because I think she'll be a shorter price after.
She's also a Scat Daddy as well. Like, it's totally different how he trains the Galileo horses to me relative to the like Scat Daddy. My issue with her is whether she get a mile in time.
Yeah, that's
really
it's 7 on Saturday. I do think if she wins, what price is she, Nicola? 16 to 1.
Yeah, 16.
I think she could be 10s if she wins on.
I'd be more inclined to back her tomorrow than for the Guineas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
7-2. All right, let's move on to the actual action tomorrow. Greenham Stakes, obviously no too darn hot. How do they bet now, Nicola?
11-4, the favourite Boytron. Great Scott 7-2, and then after that, there's no real support really for anything else.
Yeah, the Hannon team have a pretty good record in this race. Do you fancy Boytron here? You put something up against them?
I don't. I fancy Hello Zain. I think the key here is the ground for Hello Zain.
5-1.
5-1, lovely. I don't think it'll go off 5-1 either. Like when it won its maiden at Carlisle, very impressive, won by 4 lengths. And then it was just too keen next time at Haydock, just beaten by San Donato. And Amazing Lafitte in that Group 2, it was a pretty solid Group 2 on soft ground. And he absolutely bolted up, I thought. This is his trip. I think the track will suit. I think the ground is ideal. James Doyle has been booked from early on in the week. I'd be pretty keen on Hello Zain.
Yeah, I'd be absolutely with you. Johnny, what are your thoughts on the Greenham?
With Muhiter, kind of fairly tentatively. I was just reading a few comments from Connections. They reckon he's very forward. He's a type for earlier on in the season. As Jenna said about the ground, he's bred to like this type of ground, and this is the ground he will get. His last performance over the course and trip as a 2-year-old, it was soft ground. He produced a real turn of foot, and he still looked quite green as well.
Yeah.
It's a trappy race. The Scat Daddy horse that he won, I think he won the day of Laytown. I remember watching this before the race at Laytown. If I can get his actual name here, he's only having his second start. That would be Magic J.
Magic J.
He won at Yarmouth in what looked a fairly run-of-the-mill race. He's a very, very. I think he cost around $1 million. Yeah, and he's a very. He's a horse that to me would be interesting. I definitely wouldn't mind having a saver on him because the Yarmouth form is bang average, but he looks very, very promising.
Yeah, but some trainers do send good horses there to have easy races.
And he completely just oozed class throughout the race. He always looked like he was going to win. He was very short in the betting. It's obviously unusual enough for Ed Vaughan to have Anton approaching a classic contender, but he will get a mile and he's interested as well. But I'd just be a little bit concerned about the ground frame. But Muirter, I think, at the price would be my tentative selection.
You can make a case for so many of them. Urban Icon is another one at 9-1. He's the stablemate of the favourite. He won both his starts, and I think might be the value in such a competitive race.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, a bit of a contrast. Greenham to the Scottish National then, 3:35, 4 miles ahead of him. Who tops the market? Beware the Bear, is it?
Dingo Dollar, Beware the Bear, and Big River. Can't separate them really. In terms of turnover for this race, it's the 4th biggest betting race.
Seriously?
Of the year. So just
That's
ahead
mad.
of it. Can you guess what's ahead of it?
Grand
Obviously,
National, Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Yeah.
And I will go for the Supreme Novice Hurdle.
No.
Triumph Hurdle.
Johnny.
Of the year.
Yeah.
King George.
The Derby.
The Derby. Well done. Yeah. And then it's this one. So it's a huge race for us.
That's very surprising.
Yeah. Well, it's
not a bad race to have it lay a bet in either.
Yeah, exactly. Unlike Aintree, this is so open. A Dingo Dollar.
Do you hear her? Just because she backed Tiger Roll, it's not like Aintree where it was done and dusted. Tiger
I'm not
Roll
going to be
win.
boasting about backing a short price favourite in the Grand National.
Nicola said to me before we started the show, I said, how'd you get on at Aintree? Did you make any money? Only had one bet. One bet for the whole Aintree. What was it? Tiger Roll.
Yeah, well,
gloating.
Yeah, well, better than us then.
I'm a fan of Cross Hugh Boy, by the way, in this race because he did beat the favourite here 12 months ago. Dingo Dollar, and I just think as well, if you look at he seems to have the right type of profile. He's 9. 4 of the last 9 winners were of that age, and if he produces what he did last year, I think he'll be in the mix at 12.
Good stuff for your mate Sean Flanagan.
Yeah, we were talking in the office earlier, and I said to one of the lads, I said, if you back 2 horses in this race each way, you are guaranteed to make money, okay?
Okay.
Dingo Dollar and Cross You Boy, they were 1st and 2nd in the novice handicap chase at this meeting last year. Both have been absolutely laid out for the race to the minute. Like if you look, Vintage Clouds obviously fell at the 1st in the Grand National. Beware the Bear ran the Ultima. Big River ran in the Ultima as well and stayed on very strongly. And if you go down through the list,
stayed on very slowly though as well.
Well, he actually flew from the last. In fairness, if you watch it again, it was incredible because I was still in the play spot at that stage and I was getting really excited. And I had him in, and he got up for 4th, and I don't know how he did. And then I had Apple's Jade, but it was. I think that those two have been laid out for the race. And with Dingo Dollar, I think since the Ladbrokes Trophy earlier on the season when he was third sizing Tennessee, I think Alan King has had this race on his mind. And that was off a mark £1 higher than the mark he raced off here. And just at air, if he pings everything like he usually does, gets out on the front, he's going to be hard to catch. And Cross You Boy has been laid out for the race as well. 4 miles on decent ground. It's tailor-made from both of those are double-figure prices.
Okay.
I think both of them will finish in the first 5.
Good stuff, Johnny.
I'm going to go with Doing Fine, who was 4th in the race last year when Vintage Clouds was 3rd. Vintage Clouds, in fairness, he's as fresh as a daisy after his national.
It's been well backed.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was 10-1 in the national, so you'd imagine he should be shorter than that for the Scottish national.
He fell at the first, but he's fine, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, and he's in general, he's a really good jumper. Doing Fine has actually had a wind-up. He's 11 years of age. He's only had about 25 runs. And you imagine he has been prepped for this because he came from off the pace last year to finish a very good 4th. Generally jumps well. Neil Mulholland's horses are in okay form. Just one thing about the national. It doesn't surprise me that a horse that thrives in the cross country is winning the national because the fences are... They're just not fences anymore.
The mistake that Jessica Harrington's
Magic of Light. Watch
made.
the photo of Magic of Light. She's halfway down the fence, and it's basically like jumping through a Christmas tree. There's really nothing there. So you're kind of like, it is. I think the BHA have done a good job in many ways. But how much of a jumping test it actually is anymore?
It's a lot less of a jumping test.
Like Tiger Roll, he's a legend, but he's a legend because he's been around for the time when the national fences aren't really fences anymore, or certainly a lot of them aren't anyway. Not trying to take away from the achievement, and it's good that animal rights is at the forefront of it. But that photo of Magic of Light, that's not really a fence. You know what I mean? It's just, it's fluff.
Right, who's your selection? Quick, along the line of Scottish National. Doing Fine. Nicola?
I'm going with Cross You Boy.
Dingo Dollar.
Dingo Dollar. I'm going with Cloth Cap. Right, let's move on to the Scottish Champion Hurdle quickly. Mr. Fisher, top of the market here, Nicola?
Nuba Negra is actually another one for Dan Skelton. Again, it's hard to separate the front two. 5-1 Nuba Negra, 6-1 Mr. Fisher. Again, Mr. Fisher didn't take to Cheltenham, I don't think, in the Supreme. The grain wasn't in his favour.
Chat to Dan regularly. Is he happy with Nuba Negra?
So his blog's actually going to be done this afternoon.
Okay.
Hang on. You guys chat amongst yourselves.
Yeah,
I'll just check what he
We'll have an
said to me.
exclusive.
He's a horse I followed an awful lot. He definitely has the ability, but he needs things to fall right.
Yeah, but this is the track though for a soft finisher, surely.
Geno's going to love my tip in this race because I think he would probably think it the most unlikely.
Okay, go on.
Okay, is it brain power?
It's brain power.
Yeah, I'll tell you, before you come to Johnny, right, I was going through this race last night and then obviously when Dex came through this morning, okay? No, but Mr. Fisher, I think, is potentially the best handicapped horse in the race, right? So I went through it and I fancied him for the Supreme. The rain came, he didn't like Cheltenham. Left-handed, flat track. The way he travels in a race is going to be perfect for him. And he beat Bright Forecast, he's beaten Rouge Vif, so his form is strong. And then I just went to go and see potentially what the dangers were. And I was able to kind of cross off most of them. And then I came to my beloved brain power, right? And I'm saying to myself, no, forget about brain power. You're going to get ridiculed for tipping this horse once again, right? He's got dropped £5 for running the Champion Hurdle, where he was pulled up early. The time before that, he won at Cheltenham. He won the International at Cheltenham, where he beat Silver Streak, who ran well in the Champion Hurdle. And he's down to a mark of 153, and he's actually not even the top weight in a handicap.
It's kind of hard to believe
he's a horrible horse. Lord God,
you might get
14-1. If brain power's on a going day, he wins.
Yeah, exactly. He's got cheek pieces on. Aidan Coleman is back on board.
At 14 or 16-1, he's a win-only bet.
Win-only bet, and it's a 15-runner handicap as well. So this is not an each-way bet.
And you will know after 2 hurdles if he's on a going day, because he either sulks or he wins. Simple as that.
Okay, are we
Mr. Fisher and brain power for me.
Brain power.
Brain power.
I actually didn't get to mention I like Dino Velvet in this one, but Nuba Negra, news just in from Dan Skelton. He is very happy with him coming into this. He's off a great weight, and this has been a target since the great weight.
Read that again, because Jenna rudely interrupted you there. Just to get the
basically the horse is grand.
Basically, he's great.
He's
alive, and this has been his plan.
Right, let's move on to Saturday. Quick selections for you around the grounds at Naas, obviously the Ledge Stakes.
Well, Naas is laden with
talent. The first of the day at Naas. Yeah. Huge entry here. Who is it?
Spoke to Aidan last Friday. Didn't actually make the yard visit, unfortunately, but I basically asked him for a tip because it was one of those shows where it was like a lot of people just would like the tip. So he's like, just back the American Pharaoh horse next weekend. I presume he meant Monarch of Egypt.
Monarch of Egypt. It was actually called Horus Bird before. It's a horrible name for horse. They've actually changed it to Monarch of Egypt right now.
That's the horse, yeah.
Yeah.
That conversation came up in the car park.
There you go.
About
So
it.
this horse will be the most
Fucking lightning
overbet.
bulb just went off there.
I'd say the owner will be disgusted that he missed the price in this, but look at the horses coming back tomorrow, Romanised, and then you have the Alleged Stakes, which is an absolute cracker, Latrobe, Flag of Honour, magical, really belter. I'm going to take a chance on a horse in a really crappy handicap though, having said that. Dennis Hogan, he went for a bit of a touch at Limerick yesterday, which went awry.
25 in the fours.
A lot of people went for a touch at Limerick yesterday. It was student day. But my selection is Conversant, who's dropped down nicely in the weights. Ross Coakley taking the ride. Will enjoy a bit of ease in the ground. Coming up the stand side should be no harm as well. And horse just quite well handicapped. Probably would want to see a bit of money for it though.
Good stuff. Elsewhere on Saturday, go on, Jenna. Take out your scroll there.
Yeah, the horse I fancy at Aintree is running in the first race, Forrest Behan, who...
I fancy him as well.
He runs at Ayr, yeah. It could be. We're going down together, Tom.
Oh dear, yeah.
I think I'm not sure if he's as well handicapped as Azuri, but I definitely think he'll finish in the first three. In the second race, the handicap chase, I thought Azurti, don't get your Azurtis and Azuris mixed up. I thought he might win for Alan King. In the 225, in the 3 o'clock, I like Secret Investor, who I think was ridden differently last time, and I thought it made a big difference. I thought he'd take the world of beating in the 3 o'clock, and one for Nace in the 545. I think Arturian Fame, who didn't win last season, is really well handicapped if he can put it all together for Joseph and Donnacha O'Brien.
Camelot horse.
Yeah.
He's definitely overdue in that horse.
Yeah, no doubt. On to Sunday. They are not the greatest collection of cards ever to be assembled of a Sunday. Dundalk, Stratford, Tramore and Wincanton, although I think it's free into Tramore, and there's lots of Cheltenham heroes, I think, on parade there, which is interesting. But Johnny, you have a winner for us at Dundalk.
I hope so. Air of excitement for the rugby and racing syndicate, who was disappointing at Leopardstown last weekend. I'm not sure why he's stepping up to a mile and two and a bit here, but I presume Joseph at least is hopeful, if not confident, that he'll stay. I think he's well handicapped. His previous run was very encouraging, and on the premise that he will get the trip, he definitely gets a mile. He hasn't tried this before. It's a poor race. I think he's a reasonable chance.
Yeah, it's not the greatest collection at Dundalk. Jenna, anything for you on
Just
Sunday?
in the 445, I thought Dreamboat Dave, I thought he ran well, was third.
Yeah, because it's my favourite horse's name ever.
Yeah.
Is that what your wife calls you?
Yeah.
She does now.
She does.
Yeah, nice bit of alliteration. I thought that was a good run at Navan. He was third of 17 over a mile and two, and I thought over slightly further. I thought in the 445, Dreamboat Dave would take the world of beating.
Okay. Oh, Dreamboat Dave. It's going to stick. It's going to stick. Right, obviously Punchestown and Fairyhouse are just around the corner. So, Nicola, you have a couple of prices for us for the Irish Grand National.
So delighted with the entries for the Carl Punchestown Gold Cup. It looks a brilliant race with Kenboy 13-8 favourite ahead of the Gold Cup hero. Album Photo's in there at 7-4, and all seems to be really well with Album Photo. Mona Lee 9-1 shot, and Henry reports he's in good form as well after Cheltenham. So I'm really looking forward to this race.
Yeah, sounds like an absolute cracker. Right, quick selection for the Irish National, quick selection for Punchestown, the Gold Cup there. Come on.
I think Kenboy is a better horse than Album Photo.
I thought it was an extraordinary. His last two performances have been extraordinary.
Absolutely.
Last two completed performances.
As I told you, I watched all the replays from Cheltenham 10 times. And the biggest shock I got was, at the time, I thought Album Photo jumped brilliantly. He didn't. He's a peculiar type of shape getting over his fences, and he doesn't get that high. And watching back Kenboy at the weekend, being able to go that pace and sustain it and then quicken and jump the way he did, I think he's a better horse.
But it's the way at Leopardstown and Aintree, his finishing kick is extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
He's a horse that looks like he's a 2-miler who stays.
Yeah.
Stayer with speed, as Darren Well might say. I definitely prefer him of the two. Mon Lee hasn't an absolute hole to get into. He needs something to go badly wrong.
In the Irish Grand National, a couple of weeks ago, I put up Say Jersey in the race for Willie Mullins. He's got form tied in with some of our best novices. I think he's well handicapped. I tip him up to 20s. I think he's still available at 20s.
He's still at that price, yeah.
The other
you haven't moved the market?
The other one that's interesting is 2A per me for Noel Mead, who's been laid out for the race. But Say Jersey for me.
Yeah, anything for you in the Irish National?
Borough Saint, I'm just not sure he's going to run, and that race is tough. Any second
very tough.
Will cost me a bomb at Cheltenham. When I laid him, didn't think he'd stay. He probably will stay this trip on the basis of his running the Kim Muir.
What price Chilema?
6s. He went off bigger, but he won.
Ouch. And I hope Suggs Benny runs a mighty race for Liam Cusack as well. Yeah, you were great prep there as well.
I actually interviewed Dennis O'Regan yesterday interview that'll be in the paper next week, and he was very sweet on Suggs for a penny.
Great stuff. Right, best bets of the weekend. Then go and give us 3 for the weekend. Johnny, we'll start with you.
Sure, I'll give that mug tip of Aidan O'Brien's in the
Monarch
first
of
race,
Egypt in the first at Naas.
and then the horse of Dennis Hogan's,
Conversant.
Conversant, and my third selection. Sure, why not go with Air of Excitement at Dundalk?
Good stuff. Nicola, your 3?
In the Carl Scottish Grand National, I'll go with Cross Hugh Boy. Scottish Champion Hurdle, Dino Velvet, and also in the Greenham Stakes, Great Scott.
Go on, Jono.
In the 3 o'clock at Ayr, Secret Investor, he'd be the nap. I will go for Azerty in the 155 at Ayr. And in the final race at Ayr, the 520, I like the look of O'Connell Street for Nicky Henderson, Nico de Boinville. He's got a good record in the race.
Good stuff. I'm going Hella Youmzain in the Greenham. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with more What's the Word.